Welcome to this explainer. Okay, we're diving straight in today because, well, we've got an absolutely incredible underdog story to unpack. We're looking at the return of La Albiroja, the Paraguayan national football team, to the world stage for the 2026 World Cup. If you love stories of pure grit, tactical discipline, and a team that absolutely refuses to back down against the giants of the sport, you are definitely in for a treat.
So here's the central mystery we're going to solve today. Picture this. How does a team score the literal fewest goals in their entire qualifying group, yet somehow manage to defeat the reigning world champions, Argentina, and the record 5-time winners, Brazil? Sounds impossible, right? Well, let's break down this massive tactical anomaly and figure out exactly how the Paraguayan national team pulled off this footballing miracle.
Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover 1. The 16-year drought ends. 2. The architect, Gustavo Alfaro. 3. The tactical fortress. 4. The vanguard. 5. Group D, the battlefield. And 6. Dark horse or early exit. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The 16-year drought ends, returning to the world stage.
To really grasp what this qualification means to the 7.5 million people of Paraguay, we got to look at the history here. You see, Paraguay used to be a genuinely terrifying presence in world football. Back in 1998, they had that legendary, super theatrical goalkeeper José Luis Chilavech taking them all the way to the round of 16. Then in 2010, they hit their best finish ever, the quarterfinals, pushing eventual champions Spain to the absolute limit. But then came the dark ages, literally a 16-year drought from 2014 to 2022. The whole national program was just struggling with inconsistent coaching and poor results. But finally, in 2025, that drought broke. Securing that ticket to the 2026 World Cup sparked absolute, unfiltered national euphoria.
Now, to understand how they bounced back, you really have to understand their identity. They're often called Los Guaraníes. It's a beautiful tribute to the indigenous Guarani people, whose culture and language are deeply woven into the fabric of the country. And this cultural identity, it translates perfectly onto the pitch. Paraguay, well, they don't just play football. They grind, they combat, they resist. It's this deeply ingrained, rugged spirit. Honestly, they couldn't care less about dominating possession. For them, it's all about survival and collective will.
Section 2. The architect, Gustavo Alfaro. Building belief and discipline. Every great comeback needs a mastermind, right? And for Paraguay, that guy is 63-year-old Argentino Gustavo Alfaro. His whole philosophy is crystal clear. Results over style, clarity over complexity. Alfaro is definitely not here to play flashy, pretty football. He's pragmatic, he's tough, and he's highly intelligent. But here's the cool part. He isn't just an X's and O's tactician. He leans massively into psychological motivation. He actually uses quotes from literary giants like Jorge Luis Borges or even physicist Albert Einstein to fire up his squad and foster belief. He's building their mental foundation just as much as their defensive lines.
So the big takeaway here is that Alfaro is a bona fide tournament specialist. Just think about his track record. He took a modest Argentine club, Arsenal de Sarandí, and won the Copa Sudamericana against ridiculous odds. Then, he took Ecuador to the 2022 World Cup and pulled off a historic win over the host nation, Qatar. And since stepping up for Paraguay in 2024, he completely restored their traditional defensive bite and dragged them through the toughest qualifying marathon in the world. The guy just knows exactly how to squeeze every drop of potential out of an underdog.
Section 3. The tactical fortress, defending as an art form. Consider this absolutely wild contrast. Just 14 goals scored. That was literally the lowest attacking output of all the qualifying teams. But on the flip side, only 10 goals conceded. 10! That is an elite brick wall defense. Alfaro sets them up in this classic, hyper-disciplined 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1 shape. They are totally fine giving up territory. They just deny any penetration through the middle and completely suffocate passing lanes. They don't run around pressing high constantly. They press intelligently. They know they have to maximize every single scoring chance simply because they trust their defense is going to hold the line no matter what.
18. I really want you to let that number sink in. These defensive stats we just talked about, they weren't from some quick, easy tournament. This was over 18 grueling games in the CONMEBOL qualifiers. Imagine playing 18 matches against absolute powerhouses like Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, and Colombia, and only giving up 10 goals total. It's a monumental, honestly unbelievable achievement of structural discipline.
And hey, a fortress defense isn't just about surviving. It's what allows you to become giant slayers.
By just absorbing all that pressure and perfectly picking their moments to counter, Paraguay absolutely stunned the footballing world. They beat the reigning world champions Argentina 2-1. And then they took down the 5-time winners Brazil 1-0. Under Alfaro, they went from being, just background noise to a massive, genuine problem for the heavyweights.
Section 4. The Vanguard, the Warriors of La Albiroja.
Of course, any tactical system is only as good as the guys actually executing it on the pitch. So, let's meet the key players carrying Paraguay into 2026. At the back, we've got the commander, 31-year-old Gustavo Gómez from Palmeiras. With 88 caps, his leadership and pure aerial dominance basically anchor the whole setup. Moving into the midfield, you have the engine, Miguel Almirón from Atlanta United. Even at 32, his sheer transition speed and relentless high pressing are the absolute heartbeat of Alfaro's counterattacks. Then there's the spark, 22-year-old Julio Enciso from Strasbourg. He brings that crazy, unpredictable dribbling and creativity that they desperately need. And finally, the finisher, Antonio Sanabria. His club form might be a bit quiet, but he was Paraguay's top scorer in the qualifiers. The guy is just a big game player for his country, plain and simple.
But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. We've got to talk about a really crucial absence. Midfielder Matias Villasanti is out with a torn ACL. This is tough. He was super consistent during the whole qualification campaign, and losing his creative options in the midfield, well, that puts a massive amount of pressure on guys like Almirón and young Diego Gómez to carry the transition play all by themselves.
Section 5, Group D, the battlefield, the ultimate test. So, what's the ultimate test waiting for Paraguay when they actually touch down for the 2026 World Cup? Well, on paper, looking at the FIFA rankings, they're sitting way down in 40th place. That officially makes them the lowest ranked team in Group D by a pretty wide margin, trailing behind the USA, Turkey, and Australia. But as we literally just discussed, rankings mean absolutely nothing to a squad that just knocked off Argentina and Brazil. Rankings reflect accumulated performance over time. They do not account for the absolute tactical nightmare this team presents in a specific 90-minute tournament match. Let's talk about the chronological flow of their group stage, because the order of these games is incredibly important. Step 1, June 12th in LA against the co-hosts, the USA. Avoiding an early collapse against a super talented, highly motivated American squad is absolutely key. Then, Step 2, June 19th against Turkey. This is arguably their toughest psychological test, because they have to withstand some incredibly dynamic European playmakers like Arda Güler. Finally, Step 3, June 25th against Australia. This is going to be a gritty physical battle, and realistically, it's Paraguay's absolute best chance to secure a mandatory 3 points.
Section 6. Dark horse or early exit. The realistic outlook.
All right, taking everything we've covered, let's build a realistic outlook and weigh these realities against each other. On one hand, their strengths are undeniable. An elite, totally impenetrable defensive structure, immense tournament experience from their coach, and a proven giant slang pedigree. They are fiercely hard to break down. But, on the other hand, the weaknesses are glaring. They have a very low-scoring attack and a massive over-reliance on a 32-year-old Miguel Almirón to run their entire transition game. Honestly, if Almirón is fatigued or gets neutralized by the opposition, their lack of goals becomes a very genuine threat to their survival.
So how exactly do they get out of Group D? Well, here is the realistic blueprint for Alfaro's men. First, they've got to leverage the new expanded 48-team format. Remember, the best third-place teams also advance to the round of 32 now. Second, they need to just do what they do best, grind out a low-scoring, super frustrating draw against the USA in that opening match. And third, they absolutely must secure a victory against Australia. If they can execute that game plan, advancing as a strong third-place team is a highly achievable target.
Which leaves us with one final thought. Will Gustavo Alfaro's impenetrable fortress carry Paraguay to another historic knockout run, mirroring their glory days from 2010? I mean, they've got the grit, they've got the system, and they absolutely have the belief. I highly recommend you watch Group D closely to see if this incredible underdog's return ends in glory. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.